Alrighty then.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Get that.
Oh, no. Alrighty then.
No, don't yell at me.
Welcome to episode 18 of Dark and Creepy Things.
Well done. It's things. It's only taken 18 episodes.
And I still have to think about it.
Dark and creepy things with
Frank
and
Scout
yay
and Sindel.
and Sindel. We have a guest today. Hi everyone.
Sindel just happens to be in the house.
We have the recording happens.
Yeah.
I walked in and played some video games and then got invited to a podcast. So this is good. This works out.
We have a busy week this week.
Oh,
we don't have
so
busy. So we don't have we were meant to record one last night. Didn't happen. So
I fell asleep.
Yeah, you did too.
I fell asleep.
I'm out. Found you sleeping. So I turned off the light so you wake up in the dark.
Yeah, thanks. Love you too.
Cute.
We have a new patron to thank, so thanks to our regular patrons, Bitten by the Bug.
Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, Mum. Neve, Lenny, Lustrack, Francis, and Maya, and we also now have to thank Sean.
Thanks, Sean. And
Thanks,
thanks for suggesting that I set up the Patreon as well, because we usually use Patron,
Which is a front part of Podbean.
which is a link.
Yeah, this is like a separate thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a proper Patreon.
Yeah, we might be adding stuff to the patron.
Oh, let us know
Stuff.
what what our official creepers who contribute money to this so the cats don't eat us. Let us know what you'd like as your bonus content.
We could give you the unedited versions of our podcast. You could hear us
It would
arguing.
be super long and sometimes like, stop.
Stop! Oh my god, you're fiddling! Oh my god, stop it! Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, Louie's breathing into the microphone.
Oh, hang on, we've got to let an ambulance go past.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, living on a busy road.
Yeah.
We can do that, or I could put together a clip of like bloopers or something.
Or we could record special ones, or whatever you suggest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my turn.
Frank's turn.
My turn. This one isn't particularly creepy, but it's hilarious nonetheless.
No, I think it's probably not dark.
It's not dark.
It's pretty, it is hilarious. And one of our patrons, Maya Myers /HBomb, did suggest to me that there should be more Australian content, especially for our international listeners.
This is very Australian.
So Australian, not going to get much Aussie than this.
Okay. This is the Emu War.
The Emu War?
The Emu War.
The Emu War.
What, mate?
The Emu War, also known as the Great Emu War, was a nuisance wildlife management military operation undertaken in a... Yes, let me repeat that. A nuisance wildlife management military operation undertaken in Australia over the latter part of 1932 to address public concern over the number of emus said to be running amok in the Campion district of Western Australia.
I love that it says running amok.
Running amok.
running
It literally
amok, mate.
says running amok. The unsuccessful attempts to curb the population of emus, a large flightless bird indigenous to Australia, employed soldiers armed with Lewis guns, leading the media to adopt the name Emu War when referring to the incident. While a number of birds were killed, the emu population persisted and continued to cause crop destruction.
Would what?
Crop destruction. So, as with most wars, it usually has like who was in it, what was it known as, when did it happen, who won, and according to this, the outcome was failure, and
So
the
the
emu
emus won.
population persists. So yes, the emus won.
Oh my god.
The emus won the Great Emu War. It occurred from November 2nd to December 10th, 1932.
So that was a bit over a month.
A bit over a month. The participants...
A month.
A month of battling
A
emus.
month of battling emus and they still
They still won. So the participants were emus.
Do they have names? These
No,
emus?
just as emus.
Oh, come on.
Who was their leader?
Sir Lord Emu of the emus. Sir George Pierce.
Is that an emu?
No, it's a human.
That's a good name for an emu.
Sir George Pierce, which means that he would have had to have been knighted by the Queen to be a sir.
The emu did.
The emu did. Would have had to have been knighted to become a sir. Major G.P.W. Meredith and the Royal Australian Artillery.
Meredith the emu.
Background. Following World War I, large numbers of ex-soldiers from Australia, along with a number of British veterans, were given land by the Australian government to take up farming within Western Australia, often in marginal areas. With the onset of the Great Depression in 1929, these farmers were encouraged to increase their wheat crops, with the government promising and failing to deliver assistance in the form of subsidies. In spite of the recommendations and the promised subsidies, wheat prices continued to fall, and by October 1932, matters were becoming intense, with the farmers preparing to harvest the season's crop while simultaneously threatening to refuse to deliver the wheat. The difficulties facing farmers were increased by the arrival of as many of 20,000 emus.
Where did they arrive from?
Emus regularly migrate after their breeding season, heading to the coast from the inland regions, with the cleared land and additional water supplies being made available for livestock by the West Australian farmers. The emus found that the cultivated lands were good habitat and began to foray into farm territory.
I was going to say, how did they get organised?
They all just
Sir George, let's line up over here.
instinct. In particular, the marginal
Migration.
farming land around Chandler and Woolligan. The emus consumed and spoiled the crops, as well as leaving large gaps in fences where rabbits could enter and cause further problems.
Ooh, go the rabbits.
Farmers relayed their concerns about the birds ravaging their crops, and a deputation of ex-soldiers were sent to meet with the Minister of Defence, Sir George Pearce. Having served,
not the emu.
He's not the emu. Having served in World War I, the soldier settlers were aware of the effectiveness of machine guns.
What?
And they requested their deployment.
The minute emus get machine guns?
It's not an equal war, is it?
I don't know, have you seen emus? They're pretty terrifying.
They are
really
pretty terrifying, and I know, yeah,
Cassowaries are worse, but emus, oh my god.
emus pretty relentless.
I think if there's 20,000 of them running at a machine gun, the few that get through will still cause
Will eat you.
havoc.
Yeah. The minister readily agreed. Although with conditions attached, the guns were to be used by military personnel and troop transport was to be financed by the Western Australian government. And the farmers would provide food, accommodation and payment for the ammunition. Food for the ammunition?
What?
The sentence is bad.
Okay.
The farmers would provide food, accommodation and payment for the ammunition. That just
Okay.
makes it sound like I'm going to give food to the ammunition.
No, if you put a comma in there.
I know, but it sounds wrong. Pearce also supported the deployment on the grounds that the birds would make a good target practice. Although it had been argued that in some of the government may have viewed this as a way of being seen to helping the West Australian farmers, and towards that end, a cinematographer from Fox Movie Tone was enlisted.
Oh, wow.
So they took videos of this.
I'm fucking still finding it. Is it
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd watch that. Although, I mean, no, it could be pretty distressing, but...
Yeah.
But we know the outcome.
We know
Yeah,
they win.
the emus
so-
win.
Like, did people die?
Well, the next section
Oh,
is the next
yep,
section is
casualties.
the war in quotation marks.
The war.
The war. Military involvement was due to begin in October 1932. The war was conducted under the command of Major G.P.W. Meredith of the 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery, with Meredith commanding soldiers Sergeant S. McMurray and Gunner J. O'Halloran, armed with 2 Lewis guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition.
Jesus.
The operation was delayed, however, by a period of rainfall that caused the emus to scatter over a wider area.
Did you say 10,000 rounds?
Yeah, but there
there's
was 20,000 emus. That's exactly what I was about to say. Like you need double that, guys.
At least double that, 'cause
they're
you're going to
obviously-
miss if
Yeah.
They're planning on getting multiple kills per shot.
but-
Multi-kill.
But emus are pretty big animals.
Oh,
You're not going to be able to get a bullet through a whole emu and that. It's hard to get
Yeah, I
another
reckon you
emu.
can.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Anyway, the rain ceased by November 2nd, 1932, at which the point the troops were deployed with orders to assist the farmers, and according to the newspaper account, to collect 100 emu skins so that the feathers could be made to make hats for light horsemen.
Oh, wow.
First attempt. On 2nd of November, the men travelled to Campion, where some 50 emus were sighted. As the birds were out of range of the guns, the local settlers attempted to herd the emus into an ambush, but the birds split into small groups and ran, so they were difficult to target.
They are organised.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, while the first fusillade from the machine guns was ineffective due to the range, a second round of gunfire was able to kill a number of birds.
Just as a number.
A number in quotation marks. Later the same day, a small flock was encountered and perhaps a dozen birds were killed. The next significant event was on November 4th. Meredith had established an ambush near a local dam, and more than 1,000 emus were spotted heading towards their position. This time, the gunners waited until the birds were in close proximity before opening fire. The gun jammed after only 12 birds were killed, and the remainder scattered before any more could be shot.
Gee.
No more birds were sighted that day.
Go to birds.
In the days that followed, Meredith chose to move further south, where the birds were reported to be fairly tame. But there were only limited success in spite of his efforts. By the fourth day of the campaign, army observers noted that each pack seems to have its own leader now.
Oh my god, they're evolving.
Yes, a big black plumed bird which stands 46 feet high and keeps watch while his mates carry out their work of destruction and then warns them of our approach. At one stage, Meredith even went so far as to mount one of the guns on a truck, a move that proved to be ineffective as the truck was unable to gain on the birds and the ride was so rough that the gunner was unable to fire any shots. By the 8th of November, 6 days after the first engagement, 2,500 rounds of ammunition had been fired. The number of birds killed is uncertain. One account estimates that it was 50, but other accounts range from 200 to 500, the latter figure being provided by the settlers. Meredith's official report noted that his men had suffered no casualties. Summarising the culls, ornithologist Dominic Cervanti commented, "The machine gun's dreams of point-blank fire into serried masses of emus was soon dissipated. The emu command had evidently ordered guerrilla tactics, and its unwieldy army soon split up into innumerable small units that made the use of military equipment uneconomic."
This person knows their emus, right?
This person is an ornithologist, which is a person who studies birds.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, this person knows their emus. A crest...
Did they know emu behaviour back then?
I don't know. This is 1932. Australia was only really Federation was only 30 years before, and they would just come out of the First World War. Like they
Probably didn't have the time to study emus.
No. Not only that is like most of the people who knew birds knew knew British birds and knew American birds. They didn't know Australian birds. The only thing they would have had anything that would be similar to this would be an ostrich, and that was in Africa. There are some, so ostriches and emus and cassowaries are all part of a group called the rattatite birds, which are long, tall, two-legged birds that run on their 2 feet, and they kind of all look like that. There's also another one in Brazil, in South America, and I can't remember what they all look like. And funnily enough, if you're an evolutionary geneticist like myself, we use those birds as evidence for Pangea, which is that thing where all the land mass of all of the world was together at one point, because how else could these birds that all look the same be in so many different places?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, they would have got separated when the continents all drifted apart and then evolved from there.
Exactly.
And so that explains the slight differences between them as well.
Exactly. Look, I'm teaching you things. Look at you go.
No, I know this. Don't Frank explain to
biology lesson as well. This is great.
Yeah. I feel like I can pretty much point every article we do to biology in some way. Anyway, a crestfallen field force, that's a really hard sentence to say.
What is it?
A crestfallen field force, therefore, a crestfallen field...
Fish your mouth.
Say it 5 times fast.
A crestfallen field force, therefore withdrew from the combat area after about a month. On the 9th of November, representatives in the Australian House of Representatives discussed the operation. Following the negative coverage of the events in the local media that claimed only a few emus had died, Pearce withdrew the military personnel and guns on the 8th of November. After withdrawal, Major Meredith compared the emus to Zulus.
Wow.
And commented on the striking maneuverability of the emus, even while badly wounded. If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. They are like Zulus, who even dum-dum bullets could not stop.
Jeez, racist much.
Yes, 1932 though.
Yeah.
Gross, but not surprising. Second attempt. After the withdrawal of the military, the emu attacks on crops continued. Farmers again asked for support, citing the hot weather and drought that brought emus invading farms in the thousands. James Mitchell, the Premier of Western Australia, lent his strong support to renewal of the military assistance. At the same time, a report from the base commander was issued that indicated 300 emus had been killed in the initial operation. Acting on the requests and the base commander's report, by the 12th of November, the military defense approved any resumption of military efforts. He defended the decision in the Senate, explaining why the soldiers were necessary to combat the serious agricultural threat of the large emu population. Although the military had agreed to lend the guns to Western Australian government on the expectation that it would provide the necessary people, Meredith was then again placed in the field due to the apparent lack of experienced machine gunners in the state. Taking to the field on the 13th of November 1932, the military found a degree of success over the first 2 days, with approximately 40 emus killed. The third day, 15th of November, proved to be far less successful, but by the 2nd of December the soldiers were killing approximately 100 emus a week. Meredith was recalled on the 10th of December, and his report claimed 986 kills with 9,860 rounds, at a rate of exactly 10 rounds per confirmed kill. In addition, Meredith claimed 2,500 wounded birds had died as a result of the injuries that they had sustained. Aftermath. Despite the problems encountered with the cull, the farmers of the region once again requested military assistance in 1934, 1943, and 1948, only to be turned down by the government. Instead, the bounty system that had been instigated in 1923 was continued and proved to be effective. 57,034 bounties were claimed over a 6-month period in 1934. By December 1932, word of the Emu War had spread, reaching the United Kingdom. Some conservationists there protested the cull as extermination of the rare emu. Dominic Cervanty and Hubert Whittle, the eminent Australian ornithologists, described the war as an attempt at the mass destruction of the birds. Throughout 1930 and onward, exclusion barrier fencing became a popular means of keeping emu out of agricultural areas, in addition to other vermin, such as dingoes and rabbits.
What, they didn't just build a wall?
They built a fence. That's close enough.
So there was the rabbit-proof fence and the emu-proof fence?
Yes, and the
or was
dingo.
it the same thing?
Well, apparently they all use the same thing. Dingoes and rabbits and emus.
Right.
But, yeah, so apparently bounties work better than trying to fire a bunch of machine guns into a crowd of emus.
Jesus.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, that's the whole article. It's not a lot of that article, really.
Oh, it's not.
It's
Is there anything you can...
I think it confirms, particularly for any listeners who might be not from Australia, that everything in Australia is indeed trying to kill you.
Yes. Emus are trying to kill you by eating your food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a delay tactic, but
Yeah. Well,
Is there any links that you can...
well, the other one is the Four Pest campaign, which was apparently a campaign in China.
Is that why the Great Wall was built?
No, it was in 1958.
oh yeah, I think the Great Wall's a bit older.
Oh,
A bit older than that. The Four Pest campaign, also known as the Great Sparrow campaign and the Killer Sparrow campaign, was one of the first actions taken in the Great Leap Forward in China of 1958 to 1962. The four pests to be eliminated were rats, flies,
Why?
yes, rats,
luck with that.
flies, mosquitoes, and sparrows. The extermination of sparrows resulted in a severe ecological imbalance, prompting Mao to end the campaign against sparrows and redirect the focus to bedbugs. If you kill any one of those species in great numbers, you're going to cause issues, because spiders need flies to eat, and we need flies to do things like eat decaying matter.
Yeah.
And same with mosquitoes and stuff too. And what's the other one? Rats. Rats is the same thing again.
So what happens if you kill all the rats?
Well, then the bigger animals that eat the rats don't have anything to eat.
Okay, so the food chains.
The food chain
Fucked
gets
up.
disrupted.
Yeah.
And then they either eat something else or they starve, and then if they starve, then the rat population gets higher again because there's nothing to eat it to control it.
Correct, yeah.
It mucks everything up.
Yeah. Oh, good banana bread, by the way.
Yeah. Sindel brought over banana bread, and whenever I think about banana bread, I think of that episode of The Simpsons where Apu has 8 kids, and Marge brings over banana bread, and Apu's like, "What am I going to do with banana bread?" Anyway.
Well, I'm glad you like the banana.
The Four Pest campaign was introduced in 1958 by Mao Zedong as a hygiene campaign aimed to eradicate the pests responsible for the transmission of pestilence and disease. Mosquitoes responsible for malaria, rodents that spread the plague, the pervasive airborne flies, and the sparrows, specifically Eurasian tree sparrows, which ate grain seed and fruit. The government also declared that birds are public animals of capitalism.
Really? It's a bit much.
As a result of the campaign.
Because like the symbol of America is the
Well, it's like eagle. It's not a sparrow.
must have
They are the
it was getting a bit too close.
They are the animals of capitalism.
Wow.
As a result of this campaign, many sparrows died from exhaustion, and so citizens would bang pots and pans so that sparrows could not have a chance to rest on tree branches and would fall dead from the sky. Ugh. The sparrow nests were also destroyed, eggs were broken, and chicks were killed. In addition to these tactics, citizens also resorted to simply shooting the birds down from the sky. These mass attacks depleted the sparrow population, pushing it to near extinction.
Well, that'd be pretty creepy if you're just walking around and sparrows start falling from the sky.
Ugh. These, furthermore, the contests were held among enterprises, government agencies, and schools in cleanliness. Non-material rewards were given to those who had handed in the largest number of rat tails, dead flies and mosquitoes, or dead sparrows.
Oh, that sounds sad.
Look at my mosquitoes. What the
Like
hell?
our homes are really clean and the businesses and the schools, but we're collecting boxes of rat tails.
Yeah.
Because we want to win a
mosquitoes
competition.
and-
That's so. Oh, that's really dark. At dawn one day last week, this is a quote. At dawn one day last week, the slaughter of the sparrows in Peking began, continuing a campaign that had been going on in the countryside for months. The objection to the sparrows is that, like the rest of China's inhabitants, they are hungry. They are accused of pecking away at supplies in warehouses and in paddy fields at an officially estimated rate of 4 pounds of grain per sparrow per year. So, divisions of soldiers deployed through Peking streets, their footfalls muffled by rubber-soled sneakers.
Wow.
Students and civil servants in high-collared tunics and school children carrying pots and pans, ladles and spoons quietly took their stations. The total force, according to Radio Peking, numbered at 3 million. Some sparrows found refuge in the extraterritorial premises of various diplomatic missions in China. The personnel of the Polish embassy in Beijing denied the Chinese request of entering the premises of the embassy to scare away the sparrows who were hiding there, and as a result the embassy was surrounded by people with drums. After 2 days of constant drumming, the Poles had to use shovels to clear the embassy of dead sparrows.
What?
There were that many dead sparrows because people were banging drums so that the
Wow.
sparrows couldn't sleep,
Oh, wow.
and they died of
That's awful.
exhaustion.
What
And they were seeking like diplomatic
Immunity by going in the embassy.
The poor sparrows.
By April 1960, Chinese leaders had changed their opinion due to the influence of ornithologist Cao Xin-cheng. He pointed out that the sparrows ate a large number of insects as well as grains. Rather than being increased, rice fields in the campaign were substantially decreased. Mao ordered the end of the campaign against sparrows, replacing them with bedbugs, as the extermination of the former upset the ecological balance and bugs destroyed crops as a result of the absence of natural predators. By this time, however, it was too late. With no sparrows to eat them, locust populations ballooned, swarming the country and compounding the ecological problems already caused by the Great Leap Forward, including widespread deforestation and misuse of poisons and pesticides. The ecological imbalance is credited with exacerbating the giant Chinese famine, in which 20 to 45 million people died of starvation.
Oh my God.
This is why you don't fuck with nature, people.
No.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna...
Kill some sparrows and you die of starvation.
Yeah. Nature will sort its shit out.
Have people not seen that? I guess they wouldn't have back then. But that episode of The Simpsons where
No, they wouldn't have seen it back then.
where
Not in
Homer
1953.
messes with one thing, and then the future, then everything changes again.
Oh yeah, when
Yeah.
they're time traveling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the butterfly effect.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what it goes on, yeah.
Yeah.
And that he's trying to find a perfect world, essentially, or
Yeah.
perfect part in time where he can exist. And he gets to one, and he realizes, he says to Marge, "Hey Marge, pass me the donuts." She goes, "Donuts? What are donuts?" And he's like, "No," and he goes to another time place again. And just as he leaves, Marge goes, "Oh, it's raining," and donuts start falling from the sky.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
And doesn't he settle on the universe where like they've all got snake tongues? And he's like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Close enough.
Exactly. It was
Yeah.
close enough, and then they've all got those serpent tongues.
I saw this comic a while ago. It's been around for a long time, where this guy's like apologizing to Mother Nature, being like, "I'm sorry, we're screwing everything up. I just want to apologize on all of our humans, on behalf of all humans." And the Mother Nature's like, "Oh, it's okay. You humans are pretty naive, blah blah blah." And it's like, "What?" And Mother Nature's like, "Mother Nature will be fine. You're just fucking yourselves over."
Yeah,
and
I've
it's
seen
so
that.
fucking true because although global warming is happening, and it is making effects, but it's only going to affect us the most. Like,
Yeah.
nature will figure out their shit. Nature
Digging our
always
own
does.
hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Revived campaign. On June 19th, 1998, a poster was spotted at Southwest Agricultural University in Chongqing. Get rid of the 4 pests. 95% of households were ordered to get rid of 4 pests. This time, sparrows were replaced with cockroaches. A similar campaign was spotted in the spring of 1998 in Beijing. Few people responded to these campaigns, as many already had the habit of killing aforementioned pests, especially cockroaches. Cultural influence. In the TVB drama business, Rosie Business, aired in 2009 but set in mid-19th century China, a peasant came up with the idea of killing the sparrows to improve agricultural output. It was meant to be a prank used to trick the peasant owners into starvation and poverty. In episode 20 of the Chinese animated television series Sagwa the Chinese Siamese Cat, aired 2001-2002 but set in China around 1900, the mistress of the house declares that certain useless animals are banned from the compound. After the animals, the episode's eponymous birds, bees and silkworms, are driven out, the family discovers the consequences. The mistress's fancy banquet is ruined by the lack of food and clothing, and she learns a valuable lesson. The album Every Red Heart Shines Toward the Red Sun by American post-rock band Red Sparrows tells, by the way of its song titles, the story of the Great Sparrow Campaign. The children's book Sparrow Girl 2009 by Sarah Pennypacker tells the story of the Sparrow War. And that's that article too.
Cool.
And then there's also another article that lists the campaigns of the Communist Party in China, but we're not going to go into that.
Cool. Well, as usual, I'll post the links to both articles you've read from. I think your last one, a couple episodes ago, you did a double.
I did.
as well.
I did the attachment theory articles.
That's right.
Yeah, this one you can just go with animal war. Or
Yeah.
something.
Animal warfare.
Yeah.
Well, animals warfaring against humans,
I
and
don't-
then humans warfaring against
Well,
animals.
Humans started it.
Well,
Yeah, humans
that's
started
true.
it.
It's always humans.
Well,
Always
at least
humans.
So it's the Emu War,
the
the
Emu
Sparrow
War
War.
and the Great Sparrow War. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the
Emu
Australians went
Bird
against bird wars. Yeah.
Werewolves.
I guess the Australians went against something that actually can actually hurt people. Like emus are fucking
They
dangerous.
can fight back, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And they won.
Yeah,
and they
still
fucking won.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Chinese one, they
So
didn't
they
win.
undefeated.
Emus are undefeated.
That's amazing.
Currently undefeated.
Currently undefeated. With us humans not planning on going against emus anytime soon.
No, I think we learned our lesson.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone just doesn't pick this up
Well,
and go,
they worked
oh,
out
let's
that.
go beat the emu.
Well, they worked out that bounties are a lot better, and that fences work. Fences work, people. Emus. If you don't want emus getting
Yeah,
into your
emus.
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Emu stealing my food.
Emus. I love it when Americans say emus.
Emu.
Emus.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
an
it's not right.
emu.
Yeah,
New.
yeah.
Moo.
It's got a yurt sound in it.
It's not an emu.
Emus.
It's not an e
And
cow.
and it's like what a cow sends for an email. An
An
emu.
emu. Instead of an an emu. Oh my god. Alrighty then. Let's leave that one there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But you're done with your bird war?
I'm done with my bird wars. Don't fuck with birds.
Pretty much don't fuck with birds.
Don't fuck with nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Don't start eradicating one part of it.
Too late.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
Birds can be nasty.
Yeah, they can be. But
Especially-
sparrows not so much.
No.
Oh, you should do an episode on magpies.
I was just about to
Oh yeah, magpies.
You can teach our non-Australian listeners
Yeah.
about the horrors of magpie
I was
swooping
just about,
season.
I was just about to bring up magpies, being that it's gone into spring here a month ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Magpie season and they don't like people so much.
They've got their own war going on.
They do have their own war going on, and I've been swooped a couple of times, but luckily the friendly neighbour dog that I walk, he is like pushed me a little bit out of the way each time, just as a magpie's gone to swoop for my head. But yeah.
The dogs have our backs.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, people end up in hospital during magpie swooping season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, they
Lose
get, like,
eyes.
lose eyes and shit.
That's why you see people, especially in Melbourne, riding their bicycles with cable ties
Yeah.
sticking out of their helmets.
Yeah.
So, like, why is that idiot wearing spike? It's the spikes. It's actually to try to deter magpies swooping and attacking. Yeah, birds. And from having birds myself, like, they bite hard.
Yeah.
I had a couple of cockatoos, and one nearly, like, pierced that webbing between my first finger and my thumb. Because I was just playing rough with him a bit, and he got carried away. Well, he put a hole through the webbing. Yeah, but magpies, interesting fact, magpies have face recognition on humans. So if you, because I heard some news report the other week where I think it was in Bondi that people were petitioning to get the cops to be allowed to shoot the magpies.
What?
In a park? I was like, no, like the magpies were there first. Just walk away from the magpies and don't shoot them, because the magpie family will recognise you forever.
Yeah.
Like, it gets from what I know, it gets
Going to be
passed down.
haunted by magpies.
Yeah, it gets passed down to generation to generation. Like,
They hold grudges.
yeah, they do.
This is this the inspiration for like Alfred Hitchcock?
It could be. Well, Hitchcock himself was obsessed with birds and loved them. And so in any of his films, not just the birds, there's bird paraphernalia in his films, even Psycho. Yeah, he actually loves birds, like heaps, and was fascinated with them.
I remember a few seasons ago that Hungry Jack's, I think, brought out these chip packets that were reflective. And they were literally used to get rid of seagulls. To deter seagulls from eating your chips.
Did it actually work though?
I don't know. I assume so, because sometimes I see people's balconies who have CDs hanging up in the balconies to
Doesn't-
try and get the birds to go
doesn't
away because
work.
it reflects.
It doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
even in apartment buildings we live in, we have several neighbours on a Facebook page I set up that complain about the pigeon problem. It's like pigeon problem here. We get a little bit of poo, but everyone said, oh, I've tried putting reflective things on the balcony, including CDs,
Yeah.
like hanging them, and it doesn't work. They just sit there and stubbornly poo all over the balcony and on my washing. I'm like, get a cat.
Yeah.
I mean, we happen to have 4 of them, and as soon as a bird sits on the balcony, like, the cats jump at the window,
Yeah.
and they disappear. So we rarely even have a chance for them to sit long enough and poo.
Well, what about one of those scary plastic owls?
Yeah, people have tried those, but they don't always work.
Oh, really?
No,
Yeah.
they're pretty
They're
relentless.
terrifying.
They are relentless pigeons here. But
Yeah.
still, I'm just like, get a
Yeah,
cat.
Melbourne pigeons, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
No.
no. Pigeons don't care.
They don't look at you and go, I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
Poop on your
Oh,
stuff.
shit, a cat. I do give a shit, fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially our little one, Piper, launches
Yeah.
himself at the sliding door, and he's like, bang, into
Yeah.
the sliding door. And I'm like, what are you doing?
You just hear a
And
thud.
then you hear birds go, like, flying away as fast as they can, because there's this ridiculous tabby cat throwing himself
This
at the glass.
tiny tabby cat, in reality.
ridiculous.
He's so cute.
He's actually pretty tiny, but
Yeah,
he's the
he's
smallest of our cats.
He's a run. But yeah, he's the vicious predator that tries to scare away the pigeons, and it works. Like,
Yeah, it does.
We hardly get any poop on our balcony.
Oh, he's doing all the work.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He earns his keep, that one.
Yeah, but otherwise he's just an arsehole. But I love him.
Yeah.
He's my arsehole.
Yeah. He'll be the last one to eat you.
Yeah. Well, he will be,
Yeah.
because he'll be the last, maybe the last one to die, but anyway.
But yeah, I don't think he would eat us. Louis and Claudia definitely would. Dusty would too, I think.
I think Papa wouldn't know what to do. I think he'd do that thing where he just sort of touches stuff and then doesn't know what to do.
And it goes like this.
He does like the
Moves his
curious head
side to side.
tilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of our ramblings about our cats.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there for today.
Alrighty.
Alrighty then.
So thanks again to our patrons.
Yeah.
Thanks, Frank, for the spooky bird wars.
Spooky bird wars. Oh, and also, don't kill birds that much you need to use a shovel to get rid of the dead bodies. That's fucking gross.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Yeah,
and-
keep your shovels for the real dead bodies.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I mean, it was communist China, so.
What?
Hey, you didn't hear about? Didn't you not hear a bit about
Yeah.
the end about the Great Chinese Famine?
Yeah, I know, but
Or let's save that for another time.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get.
Let's not get into like
No.
mass famine and genocide.
yeah. So thanks again to our patrons.
Yeah, thanks, patrons.
Your name them?
Francis and and Maya, and Bitten by the Bug. Thanks, Mum. And
Sean.
now Sean. Thanks, Sean. And
Sean.
thanks, Sindel, for
Yeah.
joining us.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for the banana bread.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bread.
anytime.
Hope you don't have nightmares about birds. and bird
Oh.
lore.
Well, I've got a cat, so
Just don't
Then you're
sneak up
safe.
on
You're
I'm
safe.
safe from the birds.
Yeah.
Don't sneak up on emus. Though I'm glad they weren't cassowaries, because cassowaries are even worse.
I don't know.
They're bigger and they're more vicious. But I don't think they're as big a pack animal though.
Creepers, who would win in a fight to the death? A cassowary or an emu? Let us know.
I think a cassowary.
Really? My mum is
Yeah.
an emu. Those. Have you seen their eyes?
Have you seen a cassowary's beak?
Yeah, but have you seen the emu's eyes? What do you think, Cindy?
I reckon the cassowary could
Thank
probably
you.
stab with the thing on its head.
Yes, or club it to death. Yes.
Come on, team emu.
So like
Who's my
it would look like the emu's winning, and then this cassowary would stab from behind.
Yeah, it's like, oh
Vicious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Vicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.